So management principles of Henry Fayol are as under. Total principles of management by Henry Fayol, 14 principles we are having. Let's see. Division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interest to the general interest, remuneration of personnel, centralization, scalar chain, order, equality, stability of personnel, tenure, initiative, and this is okay. Here now the question will arise how to pronounce it. So our Google pronounce is esprit de corps, that is feeling of oneness. Okay, let's start. Presenting the said principles, Henry Fayol says that these are only directive principles. Okay, Henry Fayol says that these are only directive principles, means these principles will direct you only. It is not confirmed that you will get success if you will adopt these principles. This is only directive principles, will give you only direction. Success of these principles depends upon the sharp sense of management. The success of these principles depends upon the sharp sense of management. It is a task of wisdom. Explanation of these principles can be given as under. Now we will see detailed explanation one by one. Okay. The first point is division of work. In management, more weightage is given on higher efficiency of employees and managers. In management, more weightage is given on higher efficiency of employees and managers. Productivity can be increased by optimum use of production equipments. Productivity we can increase with the optimum use of production equipments. Moreover, division of work is necessary. Why? To increase efficiency of employees and managers. Again, more weightage is given to higher efficiency of employees and managers, and productivity also can be increased by optimum use of production equipments. And moreover, division of work is necessary to increase efficiency of employees and managers. Specialization is also possible through division of work. Specialization is also possible through division of work. Division of work should be done at managerial and factory level to take benefits of principle of specialization. Okay. Now, managerial and factory level, there are some specialized or experts. We recruit some person, for example computer. Okay, for computer job or for computer vacancy we need MSc compulsory, right? So specialization in some work, it is required at factory and managerial level. Division of work is very important. If we will give work or we will divide work without any specialization, then we will not get efficiency, we will not get proficiency too, right? So division of work is very important to get efficiency of increase efficiency of employees and managers, and it is required at managerial and factory level to take benefits of principle of specialization. We have to use optimum our employees which they are having specialization, right? The second point is authority and responsibility. Okay, the first point is division of work. We have to divide our work so that we can get the benefit of specialization. The second is authority, that is power and responsibility. Let's see. Power and responsibility are two sides of a coin. Okay. Power without responsibility and responsibility without power are incomplete. So both are required at the same time because it is two sides of a coin. When a person is assigned a responsibility for some job, at same time power assignment is essential. Okay, when a person is assigned, whenever we recruit or assign a person, we will give them a responsibility. At the same time power assignment is essential. We have to assign power. While assigning the power, different parameters like post of employees. Okay, for example, we are having 3 person. Number 1 is principal and teachers. We are also having peons. Okay, this is principal, teachers and peon. Okay, peons. Okay, now we are assigning teachers. Okay, we need a teacher. We need a OC teacher. Okay, OC is a commerce subject. So for that we need a teacher who is expert in commerce subject. So it is compulsory to have MCom, BCom and MCom because it is related to commerce subject, right? Now for example, we need a peon. So we cannot see this qualification here. Peon does not need BCom or MCom, right? But yes, in lab or in science, some basic knowledge is required. Okay. Now for principal, the qualification is different, the exam is different, right? So here let's understand now with these points. Power and responsibility are two sides of coin. Power without responsibility and responsibility without power are incomplete. When a person is assigned responsibility for some job, for example, OC teacher assigning some responsibility, at the same time power assignment is essential. So I am having a power on my subject, for my job, for my position, right? While assigning the power, different parameters like post of employees. Now I am having different powers and peon is having different power, and at the same time principal sir is also having different power. So while assigning power, the parameters like post of employees, knowledge, principal sir is having more knowledge, more experiences, more qualification than teachers, than normal teachers, than particular subject teacher, right? So the parameters like post of employees, knowledge, qualification, experiences, art of leadership, maturity, etc. should be considered. As a result, enthusiasm of employees rise and aim achievement becomes easy. So it is very easy that power and responsibilities. Power, when we assign responsibility, the power automatically we have to, power is essential there, right? Okay, and power and responsibility we have to assign as per the qualification, knowledge, experiences, art of leadership, maturity, etc. Now principal sir is having power of giving admission. At the same time teacher is not having that power. Why principal sir is having that power? Because of maturity, because of experience, because of qualification, because of power, right? And the teacher is only expert in her particular subject only. So she is having or he is having power in a very limited or in limited areas of her or his. Okay, clear? Power and responsibility. The next point is discipline. Optimum use of equipments and consistency of activities are very much necessary for industrial discipline. Again, what is important or what is necessary for industrial discipline? Optimum use of equipments and consistency of activities. Discipline creates certain kind of harmonious environment. Industrial discipline established by certain kind of rules and code of conduct, and as a result governance takes place in unit. Again, optimum use of equipments, if we are using our equipments optimum, and consistency of activities, that our activities are also consistent, then industrial discipline is very much important there. Discipline creates certain kind of harmonious environment in industry. Industrial discipline established by certain kind of rules. How it is established? By certain kind of rules and code of conduct. As a result, governance means as a result the organization, or as a result the governance takes place in unit. When employees are more, then control becomes easy through discipline and code of conduct. Employees' interest in job increases. Now you will ask one question, how it is possible then employees are more and control becomes easy? Now again let me give you one example. For example, this is our school, CC Shah, right? Principal sir is there, and there are, by combining secondary and higher secondary teachers, almost we are having, for example, or for this is the estimation that we are having 15 teachers. 15 teachers, right? This is the one school. Our society has total 5 schools, right? Now society has to join, or society has to control these 5 schools. How it is possible? This is in this point they had said that when the employees are more, or when the numbers are more, the discipline can be made easier. Okay, society will pass one message to 5 schools principal. Okay, every school has one principal. Okay, so society will send one message to 5 schools principal, and this the principal sir will provide it to 15 teachers. Of one principal is having 15, the another one is having suppose 20, another one is 25. So total 5 school is having too many teachers. So this is very easy. Only one message from society, one principal, and they are sending it to 15, 20 or 25 teachers, and they will work, they will present it to principal sir will present it to society. See, it is really very easy to maintain discipline among these things. Okay, only one person is controlling 5 principal, one society is controlling 5 principal, and 5 principal is controlling 5 schools, right? Okay, so when employees are more, control becomes easy through discipline and code of conduct. Employees' interest in job increases. Managers even can take work easily. See, managers can take work easily. Principal sir can take work easily from teachers, because we are having some code of conduct. If you will not do this work, your salary will be cut. Okay. Managers even can take work easily. Supervision, clear and appropriate contacts between workers and owners and appropriate implementation of punishments at every level are important for discipline. As I told you that if you will not do the work, you will get the punishment. Punishment, which punishment the teacher will have? That they will cut, principal sir will cut their salary. Okay, so if you will not be in discipline, if you will not work disciplinedly, then the punishment at every level are important. Clear? So discipline is very important. Code of conduct and rules are very established by it, and so the governance can take place in unit, and employees are more, control becomes easy through discipline and code of conduct. Punishment is there for every level. Okay, so I hope 3 points we had completed is clear to you. The fourth is unity of command. Okay, unity of command. Employees cannot follow orders from more than one superior. Hence, this principle shows that employees should get order from only one superior for any job or activity. Okay. Teacher will get instruction from principal or order from principal. Now for example, in our school we are having 2 principal. Okay. Now we are having 2 teachers of OC. One is Margi teacher and the another one is Aparna ma'am, right? The first principal say me to make a paper of OC, and the second principal ordered Aparna teacher that you will make the paper of OC. What will happen? You can imagine. So at the same time 2 persons cannot instruct, right? Here employees cannot follow orders from more than one superior. Hence, this principle shows that employees should get order from only one superior. In reality, we are having only one principal, and he will ask me to make paper of OC, and he will ask Aparna teacher to make paper of stats, right? Okay, so it is very important to get order from only one superior for any job or activity. It means that employee should be responsible to only one superior for particular job or department. Due to this principle, confusion never arises among employees in regards to order. Here we'll get confused that I'm also going to make paper and Aparna teacher is also going to make paper. So confusion is there. So due to that, only one superior is there, then confusion never arises. If more than one orders are given, that creates confusion among employees, and industrial discipline cannot be maintained due to that. Then we will have 2 paper of OC and no paper of stats. Okay, so we are supposed to have only one superior and not 2. Clear? 4th point, unity of command. We are responsible to only one superior. The 5th is unity of direction. Planning is an outline for future. This can be done through job division and specialization. Okay, again, planning is an outline for future. This can be done through job division and specialization. If deviations are found during planning, then direction guidance is provided. If we are planning something and if any deviations are there, then direction guidance is provided. This direction should be given by superior authority. Okay, who will provide the direction? Superior, that superior authority. Teachers will get direction from principal sir. Principal sir will get direction from society, right? So superior authority can direct us. By doing this, coordination of all tasks and efforts can be done easily. According to this principle, there should be only one superior employees group, and this group should be doing job for only one purpose. Okay, what they are saying, direction. If teachers are planning something and the deviations are there, then teachers can take direction from principal. Here what they are saying, that according to this principle, there should be only one superior employees group. Okay, so I am having only one superior. I am going to principal sir only, right? I am having only one group, one superior group, and this group should be doing job for only one purpose. Okay, my purpose is to make planning for students, and principal sirs also planning for students. So we are having same purpose. We are in the same field. My concern for students is also be the same concern for principal sirs also, right? So this group should be doing job for only one purpose. Okay, the purpose is common. Again, if any planning is an outline. If deviations are found during planning, then the direction guidance is provided, and we can get the direction from superior authority. And by doing this, coordination task and efforts can be done easily. There should be only one superior employees and having only one purpose. The sixth point is subordination of individual interest to the general interest. Let's see. Management is a collective activity. Hence, there should be coordination between persons and departments. Again, management is a collective activity. Hence, there should be coordination between persons and departments. This results in an easy achievement of goals of business unit. What? There should be coordination between persons and department. So due to that, easy achievement of goals of business unit is possible. This principle shows that interest of individual. Okay, just tick mark this line. This is very important. This principle shows that interest of individual or employee group should be considered as subsidiary against the interest of whole unit. Okay. Here the interest of individual is subsidiary, means it is secondary. This principle says that the individual objective or individual interest is subsidiary and the interest of whole unit is primary. Interest of individual group is subsidiary and interest of whole unit is primary. This means that common interest should be prominent instead of individual interest. Means, for example, if teacher is not interested in teaching and principal sir wants to recruit some teacher, then here the interest of principal sir and the interest of teacher is not same. So you cannot create any harmony between each other, right? So the interest should be common. The teacher wants to teach and principal wants to want that teacher who is interested in particular subject, right? So here the common interest is important, but principal sir interest principal sir's interest is for whole unit, which is primary, and teacher's interest is for individual, which should be secondary. This principle says that principal sir's interest for whole industrial unit should be primary and teacher's individual unit should be secondary. Okay, so it is very important that both are having common interest so that they can be adjusted. Okay, remuneration of personnel. Remuneration means return against the services provided by employees. Okay, if teacher will provide service, she will get remuneration in return. According to this principle, remuneration to employees of company should be suitable, ideal. Payment of wages makes stronger relationship between owner and employees. Again, remuneration of employees, according to this principle, remuneration of employees of company should be suitable, ideal, payment of wages makes stronger relationship between owner and employees. If employees are working good or working hard, then remuneration should be according to that and not less than that. All employees do not work with the same efficiency in a unit. There are some efficient employees, as I told you. If workers are working efficiently, who are giving more production and doing more work, there are some efficient employees who are working more and doing more work and doing more production also. They should be compensated against their efficiency. Means means owner have to pay enough wages. By doing this, worker turnover rate decreases. We had frequently listened that in some particular company, the employees mostly complain that they were giving too many work and not paying enough, so we leave the job. Okay, so if we are providing them enough wages or compensated them properly, the labor turnover rate can be decreases. Promotional schemes. Okay, now to maintain that labor turnover rate, to increase again, labor turnover rate we can decrease by giving them proper wages. Now how to decrease the labor turnover rate? By promotional schemes like bonus, profit sharing, representation in managerial committee should be implemented for skilled workers. We have to give bonus, profit sharing, representation in managerial committee. We have to appreciate their work in committee. Okay, remuneration of personnel should be efficient as their work. The 8th point is centralization. There must be clarity that to which extent centralization or decentralization should be done to make successful management infrastructure. Okay, for this point I have to give you brief explanation about centralization and decentralization. Okay, we are having two type of industry. The one is small scale and the second is large scale. Okay, first we will go through large scale. At the top level, we are having CEO, managers. We all know that Top level management includes CEO, managers, right? They are owners. For example, they are owners, or they are working, they're working on the top of the business. Okay, now this is, for example, this is the factory of cold drink factory. This is Coca-Cola. For example, Coca-Cola cold drink factory. They are having some owners or at top level. Okay. Second level, at middle level. At middle level, they were having some departments like purchase department, sales department, right? Purchase, sales department. Then, okay. And at lower or bottom level, they were having some workers, foremen. Okay. Now, top level is having different authority. Now they can not go to the stores and sell those cold drink bottles. Top level management has only authority to handle this, to get work from this department. So they will delegate their authority to middle level, where we are having purchase department, we are having sales department, we are having cash department, right? We are having different department. They assign work to middle level. Now middle level will assign work to bottom level. This is called decentralization, where authority is divided into different level. It is linearly divided in different levels, from top level to middle level to bottom level. Now top level will never contact directly to bottom level. They will use mediator as a middle level managers, and middle level managers will talk to bottom level, will give duty to, or will give power to bottom level. Clear? This is decentralization, which is needed in large scale unit only. Large scale unit needs decentralization because the work is on a large level. Okay. Now small scale. For example, one person, one businessman who is producing some chocolate. Okay, some chocolate kind of thing. Okay, now he is the producer, he is making at home, and he is only selling in his shop, right? So he does not need any middleman, any managers, any purchase department or what. He is the owner and he is the producer and he is selling all the things. So here only one person is ordering, and others means the workers which we are having in our shop, and they are selling. They will get order from owner itself. Clear? Here we are having owner in his factory or in his at home. He is producing chocolates, and he order his workers to sell it in his particular mall or shop, right? And the workers are selling those chocolates. Clear? So here there is no middleman, no purchase department, no sales department, only owners and workers. So this is called centralization, where only one person is giving power, one person is delegating authority. Clear? Let's see. There must be clarity that to which extent centralization or decentralization should be done to make successful management infrastructure. We are having clear extent, we are having clarity regarding that. Then where there is a small scale industry, centralization is important, and when there is a large scale industry, decentralization is important. if powers are not delegated. Okay, where the powers are not delegated? In small scale unit. Where the powers are not delegated, it is centralization. Here powers are not delegated to bottom level, to middle level. So this is called centralization, right? So this is known as centralization. To make best use of employee strength, principle of centralization should be adopted. For example, these are the employees, these are the workers. To get maximum strength from there, to get specialization from that, centralization is important. Centralization has low success ratio in giant size unit. We all know that if we are having giant size or large scale business unit, centralization will never give proper result, because top level directly cannot contact to the bottom level. They needs middleman or middle level management. Again, centralization has low success ratio in giant size units. Hence, centralization and decentralization is done as per the size of unit. So, we are clear, centralization for small scale and decentralization for large scale. Clear? Scalar chain. This principle emphasizes on creating chain from top level management to bottom level employees. Okay, we know from top level employees to bottom level workers or employees. Chain of power from higher administrative officers to bottom level employees should not be broken. Means everybody needs to be in contact. For example, top level will be stay contact in middle level, and middle level chain will be connected with bottom level. Power and responsibility should be invested as per the respective level. Middle level is having different power and responsibilities, and bottom level is having different different responsibilities and powers. Employees working in a unit should be aware of who is responsible to whom. Means if bottom level managers must be knowing that he is responsible to middle level, and middle level is responsible to top level. Means they are having one superior, and bottom level is having one here superior, right? So they must be knowing that who is superior or who is responsible to whom. As a result, scalar chain occurs, which moves from top level to bottom and from bottom to top. Okay, how bottom to top? That bottom level will inform middle level, and middle level will inform to top. So from top to middle, middle to bottom, bottom to middle, middle to top. Middle level is a mediator. It is a connecting link between top level and bottom level. Order. This principle enhance two parameters. Okay, this principle emphasize on two parameters: raw material arrangement and social arrangement. Okay, by giving the example of raw material, they are trying to explain social arrangement. Each part of raw material should be at its appropriate place. Likewise, skilled employees should also be placed at right place. Okay, as I told you, they are giving example of raw material to explain social arrangement. As we are putting at appropriate place some raw material, likewise skilled employees should also be placed at right place. Arrangement should be done for recruitment of suitable employee in suitable place. Means we have to recruit proper employee, suitable employee for the suitable place. As I told you, for example, we need some account teachers, then compulsory they should qualified in account field, that is MCom or BCom. Okay, at that place we cannot recruit BA or MA person, right? The qualification is BCom and MCom for account teacher. So suitable employee in suitable place. Clear? Equality. Employees are a part of managerial system. Since the employees are human beings, practical approach should be adopted to handle them. Superiors should behave appropriately and uniformly while taking work from them. Okay, we all know that in any business unit or in school or everywhere we are having two groups. One is superior group and another one is workers from which they are taking work. Means superiors needs to behave uniformly with the workers or their inferiors, right? Or juniors, we can say. Superiors should behave appropriately and uniformly. Uniformly means commonly while taking work from them. Efforts should be made to establish equality in unity by informal way instead of legal or traditional way. Okay. For example, if they are not for example, superiors are not behaving properly with the workers, then we can take some traditional or traditional, okay, we can take work or we can take actions by informal way instead of legal way or traditional way. Behavior of employees is based on faithfulness, attitude, uniformity and justice. Again, behavior of employees is based on faithfulness, attitude, uniformity and justice. Again, in any business unit or in any unit, superiors should behave appropriately and uniformly while taking work from them. Efforts should be made to establish equality in unit by informal way. We can take efforts to behave equality by informal ways. Okay, and behavior of employees is based on faithfulness, attitude, uniformity and justice. Stability of personnel tenure. Okay, here what do you mean by tenure first? So tenure means ownership, we can say, or their position or their possession, we can say. Permanent and stable employees are asset of any business unit. An employee can develop himself by remaining to one unit and contributing in the achievement of goals of the business unit. We are having permanent teachers in our school, so they are the asset of our business, of our school. Why? Because they are having experience, they are having many knowledge, they are having too much knowledge about particular subject. So permanent and stable employees are asset of any business. An employee can develop. Okay, how can I be permanent? So I have to be at one place. Again, develop himself by remaining to one unit and contributing in particular business unit and in the goals of particular business unit. As the employee remained for long time in any unit, his knowledge of system results into more productivity and also decrease labor turnover rate. Again, if the employee remains for long period in any unit, his knowledge of system results into more productivity and also decreases labor turnover rate, because they are permanent here, they are not going to leave the unit. There should be an arrangement for promotion, training, etc. for permanent employees. Okay, now how we can make our employees permanent. For that we have to use promotion and training ways, right? So stability of personal tenure means their position, their ownership, or their place. We can permanent their place by giving them promotion and training ways. The 13th point is initiative. We generally heard this word as a he did not take any initiative for this work. He did not say anything and does not take any initiative. We had listened this in many times. Initiative means quick action in need without asking anyone. Sometimes we have to take quick action. We have to take initiative on the spot without asking anyone. As quality of entrepreneurship is necessary for industrialists, in the same way there should be quality of initiation in employees. Means if any situation is there, they can take initiative. Industrialists should provide such atmosphere that initiation may be encouraged. Means industrialists or owners should provide such atmosphere so that workers can take initiative and they can be get encouraged. Due to initiation, strength of independent working in an employee develops and it increases their leadership quality. Okay, due to initiation, strength of independent working in an employee develops and it increases their leadership quality. If you can take any decision in you can take quickly decision, then you will get encouraged, right? The last point is feeling of oneness, that is esprit de corps. Success of an industrial unit lies in mutual relations of managers and employees. Hence, there should be harmony in both classes. Which classes? Employees and managers. Managers should generate group feeling among employees. Managers should generate group feeling, that is unity among employees. If all employees will work together, then achievement of goal becomes easy. Henry Fayol said that above list is not last list of management principles. Means this is not just 14 principles that these principles are only we have to accept. Managers can add new principles based on their experiences. You can, for example, in future you will be manager. You can also add principles by your own based on your experience, research and knowledge. These principles can be implemented in all kind of activities like business, economic, political and social. In any field you can use these principles, whether it is economic, political, social or business. Okay, with this Henry Fayol's principles of scientific management gets over. Management principles of Henry Fayol completed. In this chapter, 3 experts. Number 1 is Frederick Taylor. Second one is Henry Fayol and Peter F. Drucker. These 3 experts had given their principles of management, their contribution in management. We had seen 2 management principles. We had seen management principles from 2 experts. Here we are giving one short introduction or one short point, one short detail about contribution of Peter F. Drucker in the field of management. Let's see about him first. Peter F. Drucker, as a well-known managerial leader, was also a famous writer, philosopher and educator. There was a change in global business arrangement due to globalization. Again, there was a change in global business arrangement due to globalization. Need of development of new methods of management was arising. Peter F. Drucker favored for more importance to human asset in business unit. Again, Peter F. Drucker favored for more importance to human asset in business unit. Peter F. Drucker's important contribution was management by objective, that is MBO. You are having detailed study in your further chapters. MBO, you will come to know about detailed explanation about this. Again, Peter F. Drucker's important contribution was management by objectives, that is MBO, and principles of self-regulations are main. About management by objectives, that is MBO, he says that, okay, one line explanation about MBO. There should be uniformity in aim of employees and managers for achievement of aim. Means managers and employees both are having uniformity in their achievement of aim. Management by objective is too much effective for different business formatted unit. Their contribution lies in human resource management, marketing management and stress management. Hence, Peter F. Drucker is called father of modern management. Peter F. Drucker is called father of management. He regulated or he contributed MBO, in which uniformity in aim of employees and managers for achievement of aim is required. Management by objectives, that is MBO, is too much effective for different business formatted units. Their contribution lies in human resource management. Okay, their contribution in HRM, human resource management, marketing management and stress management. Hence, Peter F. Drucker is called father of modern management. Here, your second chapter gets over. In this chapter, we had seen the concept, meaning of principles of management. That in simple word, it means some rules, principles are required for making comfortable man behavior in business unit. Principle of management is all about, it is connecting link, it is more important, or it is in regard to human only. Concept that it changes from time to time, and it is detailed and particular guide for decision making and its implementation. We had seen nature, that it is universally acceptable, flexible, general guidelines, means it is provided by experts based on human behavior, and contingency, we can also use in contingent situation. We had seen importance, in which managerial efficiency we can increase, maximum usage and effective administration of resources, helpful for scientific and logical decision, to cope up with changing business environment, to fulfill social responsibility, used for research, training and development. These are the importance. Then we had seen three thoughts, that is management thoughts, classical thought, neoclassical thought and behavior related thoughts. Sorry, classical thoughts, neoclassical thoughts and modern thoughts. In neoclassical thought, behavior related thought is a sub point. Then Frederick Taylor's principles, scientific principles, total 8 we are having. Scientific management is a mental revolution on the part of particular unit of employee in a factory. It is total mental revolution towards a task, duties, colleagues and owners. Definition as said by Frederick Taylor: knowing exactly what your men want to do and see to it they do in the best way and cheapest way, means without any wastage. Principles like scientific method, planning and implementation, job analysis, standardization, scientific selection and training, economical mental revolution. Techniques of principles techniques of principles scientific management, in which time study, motion study and differential wage rate study. We have to study about study being done for the time required for completion of certain part of task. Motion study, method of removing wastage of resources due to unnecessary and unproductive movement of man and material. Different wage rate study, that we have to provide wage according to the efficiency of workers. Again, differential wage rate study means method of encouragement related to wages on the basis of time of workers' work. Management principles of Henry Fayol, which we had seen recently: division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination and individual interest to subordination of individual interest to the general interest, remuneration of personnel, centralization, scalar chain, order, equality, stability of personal tenure, initiative, esprit de corps, feeling of oneness. And the last, Peter F. Drucker's contribution in the field of management. He had contributed MBO, management by objective, and he had contributed in HRM, marketing management and stress management, and he is called father of modern management. So guys, best of luck for your unit test. First chapter and second chapter both are going to ask in your exam. If you are having any doubt, we will solve in our next online class. Best of luck. Thank you for watching the video. Give your suggestion in our doubt session that with which method you are comfortable. We had seen 3 methods. I had make videos by written also, on board also, and by this book method also. So you are not having book, so that's why I thought to make a video on book like this. So please give me your suggestion regarding our next online video, that which method I should adopt. Okay, thank you.